My name is Pomm. I'm a fine artist. I'm very famous for my watercolors, but I also paint oils, which is a passion that I took on probably about 15 years ago, and I equally love both of them. It's a very unusual name. It's spelled Pomm, and it actually means apple in French. It's supposed to have an E at the end, but my mother took the E off. I put a little hidden apple in every painting. So it's really fun for clients to come up and look at the paintings and look for their hidden apples. I started very, very young, and it was my passion from the beginning. I just knew I was an artist. As I went through high school, I got awards for my art. I actually really loved watercolors, but I wanted to be really detail-oriented, and I wanted to be bright. And when I took on watercolor, I had to develop its style to a point where it was realistic and new and different. I finally found this guy, Scott Moore, and he had this technique of layering. So you do like a soft layer, and then you do more layers over more layers, and then you get this really bright color out of watercolor, but it isn't opaque, right? It's transparent. You can just kind of move your way through it and see the layers. And I thought that that was such a great thing to get in watercolor. Like, you don't see people that paint the way I paint in watercolor. It's very, very rare to have that because it's very time consuming, and it's layers and layers of color to actually get something that people say looks like a photograph. And to have a watercolor look like a photograph is pretty unique. Even if it's just a dorm window, it's like, who was just there? It's like, you'll see a little flower that was left on the edge of the door sill, showing you that somebody had just come, and the window is just a little bit open. And I say, well, what is the feeling that you get out of my piece? And they'll tell me the story that I actually put into the painting. And there's nothing more rewarding as an artist to actually have somebody totally understand your painting. So one of the reasons that I wanted to get into oil after painting watercolors for so long was that I want to do people, I want to do portraits, I want to do those things that were hard to do in watercolor, and I wanted to do them in oil. I had such a passion for the painters in the Renaissance times because they were so into detail and perspective and composition. So I really looked at the Renaissance Academy and the way that the artists were taught in the past and how they took classes and really, really enhanced their education in art. So I tried to do the same thing by learning from them. Like, I studied Rubens, Caravaggio, who's, he has that one directional lighting, so you get those light and shadows, and everything that I could find that really helped me form reality, but make it more interesting, So for me, art was like, take something that's real, that we all have passion for, and make it even better. When I was starting to do watercolor and I was, really developing my career as an artist, there was one artist to me that I loved so much, and it was Norman Rockwell. People don't really hear about that part of me, loving Norman Rockwell, but I did it because he had so much communication in his paintings. I read a book on him, and I remember in the book, the teacher had told Norman Rockwell that, what are you painting? And he said, well, I'm painting a little boy on the beach. And he goes, well, what about that boy? His teacher told him, he says, if you don't paint and really know exactly what that boy's life is like, it's like a mortician. He has no life. He's dead. So you need to know everything about this boy. I want to know who his parents are, how many fish he caught that day, and have all of these feelings in that one little boy fishing on the pier. So to me, that's what I've liked to do in my paintings. I like to really communicate in them. Even if it's just a dorm window, it's like, who was just there? It's like, you'll see a little flower that was left on the edge of the door sill, just showing you that somebody had just come. The flower is fresh, so you know that it hadn't been a lot of time, because otherwise the rose would be dead. I think what stands out for me the most in my schooling and training is learning how to really see life and see shadow and see lighting. And really, like a photographer would do that, they would look at things and they'd see how the lighting is, and they would see how they could enhance it. seeing their expression and how just a little movement of the mouth or a little shadow in one area can change the whole personality of a painting. I try to really think about what style I really paint, and it's something that I don't have a lot of attention on. I don't really pay attention to style. I just pay attention to emotion. So when I see these masters that I love, like I love their art, like I love Monet's art, so I started to do more of an impressionistic feel. I love portraying things that you can actually understand and that communicate to you. So I can do that with Impressionism. I can kind of make it a house in the background, which it's a house, or I can make a figure in the background and it's a woman walking through the fields, but it's impressionistic. What I really paint for is for that person that loves the art. If it does something for them, if it makes them smile, if they hang it on their wall, and if they look at it every day, and if it changes the mood of their house, then that's who I want to have my paintings. And that's what I want to share. It's like, here is a painting. I've done the best quality of this house or the best moment of this person's life, and I want you to feel that. My name is Pomm, and I'm a painter, and I love to create art. And I want my paintings to give you the best joy that you can have in life.